This is my repair video for the bottom bracket on a Schwinn Air Dyne stationary bike.
So I thought about making this a tutorial and then decided that I did not know what I was doing, so I did not record anything. And then I got to the point that you see in front of you, and then I went to order a part and find a video on how to fix this, and I have found, one, that this is a really popular bike, but two, that like the part is for sale, but there are not any good videos on how to service this, on how to replace this. Really surprised to find that in all of YouTube, there was really not a good video on this. Hopefully I can make a good video. I was surprised to see that people still really enjoy this bike and still really use it. I have been made fun of for having this bike, mostly because of the way that it looks. It looks ancient. And I found this bike for $35 at a thrift store about 2 years ago. This one pedal on the left side has a lot of give or a lot of play. So when you're bringing your foot around, it clunk, clunk, clunk. And it, yes, gets pretty annoying. So I was hoping that I could just take it apart and tighten something. After I got these pieces disassembled, the bearing at the bottom, they call it a bottom bracket, which I don't understand why it's called that. It's clearly a bearing, not a bracket. Whatever. It is essentially a sealed unit. There is a company that is selling refurbished ones, and that's what I bought. A new one was $120. So the remanufactured bearing was $70, which is still twice as much as I paid for the bike. But like I said, I think I got a deal on the bike, and this is probably the most expensive piece. It's probably the one that fails the most and gets replaced the most. This lock ring, they do have a special tool for it. I don't. It's basically a spanner wrench. This one is 3/4 to 2 inch. I did have to find one with a smaller notch right there so that it would fit, because I'm still waiting for the part to come in. This nut goes on it, and I think this comes with the new bottom bearing, bottom bracket. This is reverse threads, so left to tighten. I have a 30mm wrench. I know there's a tool for it. I don't have the tool. I would probably guess that it's actually a 29mm, or I don't know, it's probably standard, which would be like 1 3/16. The nut is very thin, so once it's screwed in there, sorry, I'm doing it backwards. Once it's screwed in, you really can't get that on there well. I really wish that I had a 6-point instead of a 12. That works better, but if it's too big around, you'll hit the outside of the housing. So your eccentric goes on there. I'm not gonna install the wedge pins, but they do have a flat side on there, and there's several videos about these, but basically there's a flat side on here. You put this on there, oh, I just had it, and you find the flat side and you line the flat side up with this flat side like that. I guess I just won't put the nuts on there, but you'll get it. So you can see right here, there's that flat side. Let me try and move you closer. there's this flat side here. So same thing with your pedal. When you put that on, I know I'm missing a step. My connector arm is here, and the nylon washer is here. I guess I could install an, why not? We'll install the connecting arm while I'm here. And the nylon washer, which I was gonna order theirs, but this one's fine, and I'm sure I can get them at the local hardware store for pretty cheap. And the pedal goes on, and same thing, you got the flat side, so you want the hole for the pin to be on the flat side, and you have the flat side on the pin. So you put that there, just like that. So I guess I just showed you the installation. Now I just have to wait for the part. You see, that's the problem. So it's not the pedal that's loose. Like this would be if the pedal was loose. Well, that's not giving it all. Where that play is coming from is there you can see that nut moving there. So no matter how tight this nut gets, it really doesn't affect the bearing that's inside of here. So every time your foot comes around, you get that. And it's annoying to say the least. All right, so the part for my Schwinn Air Dyne came in the other day. And I think I'm ready to install it. I got a used one, or I guess remanufactured one, off of eBay. And it came really fast, which was pretty cool. Now I just have to figure out how to change it. I think I need to disassemble the right side of the bike. I was pretty sure that looking at the new one would give me an idea of what to do. It appears to be the correct part, so that's also good. So this nut on mine is very difficult to turn, but I do have a spanner wrench to fit in there. So I imagine you just unscrew that, take it off, and then the whole thing, you should be able to use a rubber mallet or a piece of wood and a hammer and knock the whole thing out the right side, which at least means I need to take the pedal off of the right side. I think I'll do that first before I try to get this off.
First step is to remove the cotter pin from the back side of the pin for the connecting arm. When you take the pin out, don't be like me. When you take this pin out, brace the arm because it will fall. Luckily this side fell backwards against the seat. When I took the other side out, it fell forward and slammed into the floor. So just be careful with that arm. Then you'll want to loosen the nut on the back of the pin for the pedal. I took it off all the way and then had to put it right back on so that I could tap against it to get that pin out without damaging it. By leaving the nut on there, you're hitting the nut with the hammer instead of the end of the pin, so you don't damage it. And then the pin wiggles out. We'll clean that up before it goes back on and put the nut back on there so I don't lose it. Pedal slides off nice and easy. Connecting arm comes off. There's only, I think, one nylon washer on this one, and it just fell apart. And it's split open. Definitely need to replace that. I do not have the right tool for this. It's a common theme.
Okay, this nut here, you'll probably need a socket on a 1/4 inch drive or a regular open-ended wrench, not a line wrench like what I've got. It's too close to the sprocket to be able to turn. So I cheated. Don't be like me. But when I go back to reassembly, I will do the right thing and go get the proper tool. Right now though, I need to get this pin out. If it was loose, I could probably get it out, but I need to hammer on it a little bit. So I think I need to take the shroud off. Feels like there's a screw there. This one is already missing. Sorry. There's another Phillips head screw there. And yeah, I think it goes through. This is just a tensioner for the chain, so it may not need to come off. I'll start with the screws and see where we're at. Yep, because now I'm thinking about it. If the whole bottom bracket unit that I'm trying to replace, I think it all comes out this right side towards me. So yeah, I think the sprocket will have to come off. And my phone just keeps going off. Okay, good. Make sure I don't put it down on my feet. Trying to stay out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, good. Everything just needs cleaned. If I tap on this and it does not move, which it did not, I messed up one on the other side. So what you're supposed to do is you take the nut and you put it back on, just mostly finger tight. It's all gunked up, but you want it on more than just a few threads. I'm gonna try it. And then you try it again. There we go. You want to leave that gap between the nut and this piece so that it has somewhere to travel down. But you don't want to just hit the end of the pin because it will mushroom the end of the pin and it'll mess up the threads. Now the pin has moved a little bit. You can take it off and hit it a little bit more and it should come out without messing up the top, because obviously I can't screw to it now. But you'll have to forgive the state of the tools. They are not mine. So I'm going to use a drift to tap that down. And you just want to tap it. You don't want to manhandle it because you'll mess this up. And I don't want to have to stop to order another part. So actually the threads on this pin are already quite messed up. Okay, so now that needs to come off, but I believe I need to loosen the chain, which would just be, let's bring you in a little closer here. There we go. So to loosen the chain, it's just this little nut on the end. Right, oops. That is not the right size. My handy line wrench. And then it should slide, but of course it's not going to. And I absolutely do not like crescent wrenches either. So you do have to use them with care. Do not force anything. I don't like it. If you force a crescent wrench, you're just gonna jack up the nut. You're gonna round it out. I hate it. I'm gonna give it one more go, and then I'm gonna go get it the right tool. I don't like it. I have returned with Corrosion X, a wire brush, which I see now that I already had one. I forgot. I found one very tiny 10mm wrench. I brought a rag. I brought 3 different wrenches because I wasn't sure what size it was. I thought it was a 9/16, but now that is too small. So I also brought a 5/8, which is too big, and an 11/16, which is going to be way too big. So it looks like I'm going to go back down and find a metric wrench. Never fails. The other thing that I brought up was one tap and die set. So I'm glad I didn't take my shoes off before recording, because I have to go back down and get another wrench, and that would have been annoying. And while I am at it, I will size out the tap and die. I have 4 of these pins. 2 of them at least need repaired. I'll probably do all 4 of them while I'm at it, so I can use one of the good ones to size the tap and die. So it literally just dawned on me that this might be the first of my videos that you have ever watched. If you're here because you want to know how to replace this part on this bike, this might be the first video you've ever seen with me in it. I don't have a lot of videos, but one thing you should know about my videos is I'm usually drinking a rum and coke or a gin and tonic. Today it's rum and coke. But this is actually my first how-to video. It's probably not a very good how-to video, but when I was trying to figure out how to fix this, I was not able to find a good video. And perhaps after this, there still won't be a good video. Maybe there'll be an entertaining video, but probably not a very good one. No, I'm not a bike mechanic. I'm not a mechanic at all anymore. I spent the better part of 10 years as a vehicle mechanic in many different varieties. I'm fairly mechanically inclined, and I'm really good with tools. I know the tools and I know what they're called. Obviously, if I'm drinking, I might fuck that up. I really have to stop cursing in these videos. Obviously, after I've been drinking, I might get lazy and not come up with the right word. But anyway, you should watch my videos on how to fix things, because despite appearances, I typically do know what I'm doing. We'll say I know the gist of what I'm doing. I know the basics, I know the concepts, but have I ever done it before? Probably not. I've never worked on one of these before. But I think that's kind of the fun, is you get to watch me kind of struggle my way through it, and you might run into the same problems, and you can see how I worked through it, and then you don't have to work through it because I already struggled for you. You're welcome. As opposed to watching like a nicely rehearsed showroom floor scripted repair video. They're probably working on they're not actually working on it. Everything is fine. They're just showing you how to replace it, but they don't show you that. For example, what I noticed is this pin. I just took it out a minute ago. Hopefully you remember that. And I said that the threads on it were jacked up. But this was also the one that I was showing you the technique of putting the nut on it so you didn't mess up the pin or the threads. I hope I can fix it. It's pretty bad. But interesting with the one that has the messed up threads is that it's also the only one with this type of nut on it. Now the threads on the nut look mediocre. It may have been cross-threaded. I will either fix this nut or replace it if I can find another one downstairs. All of the other nuts are these like cap nuts with the skirt on them. Have another drink, why don't I? And now I sound like an idiot. Which makes sense. That's probably why, God, I'm an idiot. None of these wrenches fit because it's metric. Where I was seeing damage is right at the bottom. The part that I think I'm worried about with these, as far as using a tap and die to fix, I wish I had some channel locks, is that the pins are pins, so you don't want to score or damage the shaft here, or it won't slide into the brackets like it's supposed to. And there's no like hexagon head, like a bolt or anything on it to hold on to. I'm more inclined to damage this end. You can kind of see where it's worn. So this part sticks out. So if I held onto this with pliers and it got a little bit funky, it would be okay. If I held onto this part with pliers and it got funky, it would prevent it from sliding into these holes, and making sure that you get it flat so it doesn't mess up the threads. This is probably all baloney and nobody needs 10 minutes on how to fix threads. If you wanted to know how to fix threads, you would have watched a video on how to fix threads. So maybe I will just, I'll keep recording, but I'll just shorten it. If y'all want a video on how to do this, or if there is not a good one out there, I'll make one, but y'all are here to know how to fix this bike and or to watch me drink rum and coke, so I'm not gonna waste your time. It's getting there though, it looks pretty good. This is that nut that didn't quite match the rest of them. And I imagine that it's not the right thread. Oh, that's actually working better than I expected. Part of what I forgot to show was I did take this chain guard off of this side with 2 Phillips head screws. There's another tensioner for this side sprocket, so I loosened this tensioner. It has the same nut here that I still don't have the right wrench for. I am confident. Oh, and I actually really looked for a 16. It's a 15. I got a ratchet wrench, not really on purpose. I also don't like breaking things loose with ratcheting parts, but we'll see if it works any better than the crescent. Not yet. Another good trick. Yeah, you can lock one wrench on top of the other if you have. Okay, I don't know if it was recording or not. So from here, loosen. So I imagine this will be difficult. I need to take this off. I kind of tried to the other day and it just really wasn't having it. So, spanner wrench. This is about as good as I can get it to fit in there. It's not perfect. There is an alternative to this if I for real can't get it to go. I'm gonna do the same trick Although this wrench is a little bit excessive. See, the whole thing is moving. I wonder if that means I need to hold this while I turn it. Probably. But unfortunately, that's what I was using to do that with. See, the whole thing is turning, and that's not what I need. Thing turns. So how do I keep the whole thing from turning? Unless I was supposed to, leave something on here, on this other side. Maybe to hold it still while I loosen this. That would at least hold this part still. Let's see. Put that back on. Part to line up with this flat part. Okay. And slide with this flat part. Maybe like that, and then I can hold this still as I attempt to loosen that, maybe. Well, it does appear to be working. Holding this still is allowing me to unscrew that. It just really, really does not want to unscrew. I'm not bleeding yet, so that's cool. We will continue. The other half of this is knowing that this has been on here since the bike was manufactured. And no, I don't know what year this was made, but if I had guessed, I don't know, 70? So there we go. That's the ring that I needed to get off. Now I did not go get a mallet. So, and I also don't think I have a wooden block anywhere up here. And not like I need to keep this, but I don't really want to just fucking hammer on it. So I will tap it and see what happens, and if it doesn't move, I will go get a rubber mallet. I would say that is success.
I kind of did this video backwards. I started with some of the installation and then went through replacing the bottom bracket. So here's me putting it all back together. What I will tell you is that I never did find replacement nylon washers. I went to a couple of hardware stores and was unsuccessful and have yet to order a replacement set online. I haven't used the bike very much since I replaced the part, so I will replace those washers before I use it, and they're not hard to get to. I did a lot of cleaning and lubricating while I put it back together. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe. It definitely helps my channel a lot. Even if you never want to see another one of my videos again, hit the buttons anyway. I would appreciate it. And if you have any questions, let me know and I can clarify, since this was not a very good video. Not exactly step by step. Full disclosure, I am not a professional stationary bike mechanic. And I was drunk most of the time and in my pajamas. But I had fun making it. I learned a few things. And the bike works a whole lot better now.